So this is suspending power that Edward Fitzgerald's pointed out in his book here, which I already knew about, but I've just kind of seen it in a different light. Suspending power, that the pretended power of suspending the laws or the execution of laws by regal authority without consent of Parliament is illegal. Well, the thing is, if you're actually petitioning the King or either Houses of Parliament, so Edward Fitzgerald in his book was talking about basically like the common law and the juries being able to effectively disregard the law when they don't think it should be applied, due to the conscience and so forth. But the thing is that actually, this is something that I've been arguing about with the Judicial Conduct Office about in the Justice of the Peace Act 1997, which that's repealed, but it's also in the 2003 Courts Act. It says that basically statutory instruments or orders are subject to an annulment if you're pursuing a resolution from either Houses of Parliament or the King. But the thing is, when you petition the King with the right to petition, in a way, you are really using the authority of the jurisdiction of either the King or the Privy Council or of Parliament, right? And this is the problem with Julian Assange. The petitions for Julian Assange supposed to have an annulment to his prison sentence or his appeal. And also for things like when we petition Parliament for the ULEZ charges against the Mayor, really there should have been an annulment to the instrument that the Mayor made to pass ULEZ, so people shouldn't have been being fined while they were pursuing the resolution. So there is if you're petitioning the King, that is under the King's jurisdiction and a case to the King. So that would suspend, theoretically, that could suspend an order or instrument by appeal. Or well, not appeal, but by petition. But the principle in the law for the annulment of any orders from a lower authority when you're making a case to a higher authority is kind of in conflict with this part here to do with the suspending powers. That the pretended power of suspending of laws, well, you're not pretending. It says pretended power, but if you're not pretending to have power, if you're actually using it lawfully through lawful due process properly, it actually can suspend laws, or at least suspend the effects of the laws. If you've got the people signing the petition, right, you're suspending the laws or their effects, but even an instrument, because really, the Town and Country Planning Act, when you're doing notices, political notices and signs in public, that's an instrument. And effectively, using the enactment of the right to petition pretty much makes you, it makes the 99% of that act invalid or not applicable. That suspends laws because you're using the enactment without consent of Parliament is illegal. Well, you don't need the consent of Parliament to petition the King. You don't need the consent of Parliament. You don't even really need the consent of Parliament to petition Parliament. You don't need their permission. It's the right to petition them. This is like when they're rejecting petitions or saying, they're not fit to be received and so forth, when, you wrote them clearly and it's something you can ask for. You don't need the consent of Parliament to collect the signatures of people to compel Parliament for evidence of public concern, you don't need the consent of Parliament. And when you're seeking a resolution, you can only seek it. This is like when you get into saving trees and they're in imminent destruction. If there's no tree there, you can't save it. And this is the argument of having powers on site, in the field, for petitions and appeals and so forth. Can you stand around the tree and protect it? Well, in the Erskine-May book, it says yes, you can, and you don't need the consent or permission of Parliament. They have this thing now at the moment where Julian Assange had to seek permission to appeal, but we don't need permission to petition about him. And it's meant to be recognised, through the representations with the House of Commons. There are certain things that you actually don't need consent or permission for. But suspending of laws, you're actually using the law to suspend another law. It needs there's a lot to this, actually. There's a lot of complicated situational aspects to this.